air, free energy, noble concepts. But we live on a planet that is addicted to petroleum. Now, what happens if you dump free energy onto the world market? Stock markets around the world would plummet. Our own economy would collapse overnight. Recession, unemployment, war.
This is Sheba, a desert wilderness where temperatures can reach 135 degrees. Beneath these sand dunes lie 18 billion barrels of oil, more than 4 times the proven reserves of Alaska. And it's costing billions and billions to tap into it. With all the talk about kicking our addiction to foreign oil, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is doing everything it can to keep the oil age going. The good news is that the price of oil is falling a lot. It's also the bad news if you're determined that the U.S. kick its addiction to foreign oil. President-elect Barack Obama says now is the time to do that, even with the economy in recession. But the oil kingdom, Saudi Arabia, the world's largest supplier of oil, with the U.S. as its #1 customer, is pulling all the levers and spending billions to keep the oil age going. We went to Saudi Arabia a few weeks ago to meet one of the most powerful men in the world, Ali al-Naimi, the Saudi oil minister and de facto head of OPEC, the oil cartel. These 2 mega projects, plus 3 others, are costing Saudi Arabia a total of $60 billion over 5 years. And they're not borrowing any of it. It's all being paid for in cash. Still, Saudi costs for producing oil are the lowest in the world. How much does it cost Saudi Arabia to produce 1 barrel of oil?
This is an excellent question. It is very small, very little. It's probably less than $2 to produce a barrel.
Saudi Arabia reportedly needs to sell oil for at least $55 a barrel to cover the cost of running the country. Fossil fuels finance 75% of its entire domestic spending budget. But oil has sunk below that break-even price. So you're saying if the price goes too low, then production will fall, and in the end we'll be squeezed. We won't have enough oil to run our country.
The price will skyrocket.
What he wants is an end to the wild swings in price, which is why, to keep the price from further plummeting, he agreed to a cut of 1.5 million barrels a day in the October meeting of OPEC, the oil cartel. The point is that Saudi Arabia wanted the 1.5. But are you saying that
Saudi Arabia influence on OPEC?
Influence so strong now that he was able to quash Iran's attempt to double the price of oil, which Tehran needs to support its budget. The Saudis recently announced the price they would like to see oil selling for, $75 a barrel, about 50% higher than the current price. Are they trying to keep the U.S. addicted to oil? Saudi Aramco was originally an American company. It goes way back to the 1930s when 2 American geologists from Standard Oil of California discovered oil in the Saudi desert. Standard Oil formed a consortium with Texaco, Exxon, and Mobil, which became Aramco. It wasn't until the 1980s that Saudi Arabia bought them out and nationalized the company. Today, Saudi Aramco is the custodian of the country's sole source of wealth and power. Saudi Aramco is a massive complex along the Persian Gulf, hundreds of miles east of the mega projects. Over 16,000 people work here at the company's compound, which is like a little country, with its own security force, schools, hospitals, even its own airline. Abdallah Juma is president and CEO of Saudi Aramco. So this is your headquarters.
This is our headquarters.
And how big is Aramco?
Saudi Aramco is the world's largest oil producing company.
And it's the richest company in the world, worth, according to the latest estimate, $781 billion.
This is the heart of our operation. This is the nerve center.
It keeps going. Look at this. This is gigantic. He gave us a tour of the company's command center, where engineers scrutinize and analyze every aspect of the company's operations on a 220-foot digital screen.
every facility in the kingdom, every drop of oil that comes from the ground is monitored in real time.
In this room?
In this room. And we have control of each and every facility, each and every pipeline, each and every valve on the pipeline, and therefore we know exactly what is happening in the system from A to Z.
What this map shows is all the oil fields in Saudi Arabia. That big green blob in the middle is Ghawar, the largest onshore oil field in the world. And the one on top is Safaniya, the largest offshore oil field in the world. And these green squares are supertankers that are being monitored on the high seas in real time. So there's not anything that goes on with oil, with Saudi Arabian oil, that isn't known in this room right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. It takes a lot of effort. The oil is a gift from God. The recovery of oil is really the work of men, and this is part of it here.
Here in this room, Aramco engineers are making sure that not one drop of oil is overlooked. These computers are receiving data via satellite from sensors mounted on drill bits that are burrowing deep into the oil fields all over Saudi Arabia. The engineers are sending IMs, instant messages, that actually guide the drill bits.
He is now directing that drill bit to go into the best areas of the reservoirs and suck that oil from it and not leave any oil behind.
So in other words, this drill bit's like a snake.
It doesn't
go like that.
No.
It would go down and then follow where the oil is.
Absolutely. And mind you, this is happening 400 to 500 miles from here geographically, and we are sending that drill bit also 2 or 3 miles in the ground.
Al-Jumah says with this technology, they're able to recover 10 times more oil than before. But global demand is dwindling. Even Americans, the world's leading gas guzzlers, are buying less.
Your consumption dropped by 1 million barrels.
Is there a thinking that this decrease in demand might be permanent?
No.
He says the U.S. is Saudi Arabia's #1 customer, and the question is, what will Aramco do to keep it that way? One thing is discourage the move toward electric cars. Is it Aramco's hope to prevent a switch away from oil? Somebody said the country is the oil business. I mean, you absolutely need to do this for your own survival.
And what's wrong with that? What is good for the well-being of Saudi Arabia should be good for the well-being of the world too. We don't have the alternatives today. If there are alternatives, be my guest and come and bring them in. But they are not there.
When new technology comes in existence, there's a great resistance to it because it can affect a lot of economic factors. In this particular case in the United States, we pay out roughly about $200 billion a year for foreign oil. It's quite obvious that the Arabs would pay $200 billion to try to keep this type of technology out of the economy. And many times over the last decade, I have been offered enormous amounts of money to simply sell out or to sit on it. The Arabs offer me well over $1 billion cold cash simply to sit on and do absolutely nothing with it. My life has been threatened many times.